episode for Ahaya GC News. Mima Obibia Akwaba. Latest hot news Aramede Bravo. Na ansana something in Abebano. Bomodi ase obe subscribe to channel. Na wa like video, give us a thumbs up. Na fi share wo foforo so na wenye bi hwe na wo hu ensemo ekoso ewo gara memo hanum. Afi yehwe eye ensemo abeto yepono so yikuti eye sansemo ya ekoso mama yenti eye nkomo ya ekoso.
Solomon, I come to you. I know that you have been following this case. From a legal standpoint, this information that we're getting or hearing from the defense lawyers talking about going to the Supreme Court instead of the High Court, is that something you can clarify for us? Elikem says it's legal gymnastics. Do you read that as well? Do you infer from the actions of the defense lawyer that this is simply delay tactics?
Well, every lawyer wants to safeguard the interest of his client, and so from that perspective, I don't have any problem with a lawyer trying very hard to, as it were, save a situation, no matter how bad the situation is. So they will play some of these antics. You see, hell, we are not angry enough as a country. And if managers of this country are listening this morning, the word on the street there is that the youth are very much angry. They know their future is being destroyed by the actions and inactions of people that we put in position. That's why I'm very surprised that Zato is trying to embellish the situation. You cannot. We are talking about $2 million that has been taken, allegedly. Like in any case, anybody that ends up in Isawam, the cases start as allegation. But they end up there. You understand? So people cannot threaten anybody with, it's still ongoing. After all, the lawyers that are involved, they are saying their clients are not innocent. Why are they not waiting for the court, the judges to finish the case before they come out to say that their clients are innocent? We are talking about elders of society that we entrusted our destinies into their hands to manage our funds for us, who have been accused of having stolen $2 million. That's what we are talking about. Money that could have saved all these 3 children. That's what we are talking about. Look, when the agreement for this Sky Train was signed in Johannesburg by the then Minister of Railways, Ghartey, he made certain statements. And let me read some of it for you to understand the gravity of what we are dealing with.
Certainly.
He said, there is confidence in the project. The promoters, Sky Train Consortium, are very serious. And that is why we invited the president himself, that is Akufo Addo, to be in Johannesburg to witness the signing of that agreement. Now, what was the project supposed to do? He emphasized that the Sky Train project was the solution to the ever-increasing road traffic congestion in Accra, with its detrimental effects on economic activity, pollution, and the quality of life.
That's a wonderful intervention.
Can you, but
instead of going into traffic, being in traffic, you just go in the sky.
My goodness, Helen.
Travel in the sky.
Can you imagine Helen in a Sky Train, greeting us from the top?
I can actually imagine.
You can imagine that.
Yeah. That would look beautiful.
The pomp and pageantry that greeted this beautiful idea, it occupied our front pages. Various dailies. That Ghana was going to be the first African country to have a Sky Train.
I think we're following in South Africa's footsteps. They have something like
that.
They
have a metro. I mean, they have a speed train, but the Sky Train is all in Africa.
We were going to be the first.
Following Singapore. Can you imagine how beautiful it would have been?
Wow.
Then we handed our destiny to these old men, Professor Ameyaw and Solomon. By the way, this motion, do they have the consent of Solomon Asamoah? Because from your topic, it seems to me that it's lawyers for Professor Ameyaw who have decided to seek interpretation at the Supreme Court. What about the other accused person? Does he concur to this position of Professor Ameyaw? We gave them this money. Sky Train, no. Money gone. This is what we are discussing. And that is why you must be angry. When it comes to embezzlement of state funds, you have to take up political callous. Because there is no constitutional provisions, be it with the movement for change or the MPP or NDC, that states clearly that when you are given a position, go and steal. Have you witnessed any of it in any of the constitutions? So when you do, it means you are doing it for your personal benefit and not for the entire country's benefit. We have been learning different types of transportation in this country from childhood. Road transport, air transport, water transport, rail transport. We only witnessed one or two in this country, road and air. Give us that train for us to witness something. This is where we are. So for me, what you are doing in court is one of those things. At the end of the day, the judge says 9 July, the case continues. But from where the eyes sit, the premature nature they are describing, maybe in terms of the scale of how people have looted this country in the past, if you are going to compare, then indeed their case is premature. You know why? We are talking about Professor Akumfi and Solomon Asama having been accused of embezzling how much?
$2 million.
$2 million. If Professor Akumfi casts his mind back and realize that Wontumi has been accused of $45 million, why wouldn't he say it's a premature case?
That's the reason why the defense lawyer.
But if I'm reasoning into their membrane that my client only $2 million under this country, I'm saying only because
you say in the grand
others have been accused of $45 million and they are walking freely, sharing monies in town. Why wouldn't I say it's premature? When they know, look, and those are the national, what's the name, scholarship secretariat. If they are unable to call out the former boss, as we speak, everywhere around the globe, Ghana scholarship secretariat owes. We owe the British government more than 40 million pounds. Even Togo, we owe the government. And if Professor Akumfi and the legal team sees this, and they realize that people are home chilling, and he's the one rather facing this prosecution, why would the legal people not go that this is a premature case? So maybe, if we are going to look at the scale of what happened in the past to what they are being accused of, then the premature data comes in. But at the end of the day, whether you took 100,000 Ghana, 200,000 Ghana, you must face it because it's you and I. Our tax revenue.
Solomon, you said something at the beginning of your submission. You said that Dr. Zato was seeking to embellish the issue. He makes some fundamental points.
No, but the point is...
and I wanted him to, from his point of view, talk about some of the issues that will, have certain appointees, officials find themselves in hot water. So, for example, not constituting a board before the CEO actually takes office. Is that not a valid concern that we should be thinking about?
Helen, you did a wonderful job. You asked a fundamental question. That what was the relationship between what you were saying and the current case? In this current instance, the board was in place. So I was even wondering why he was going around that when the board
expanded
no, you can't expand that. We are dealing with a reality, a live situation. Don't go and expand it to areas that has no bearings on this. There was a board in place. They refused, according to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has promised you and I, including Zato, that he's going to retrieve these monies for us. Why wouldn't you be happy and support the Attorney General? Well, indeed, you never took part in the sharing of the booty, if there was any.
In fact, he laid that foundation. He says he's got no pounds.
So he shouldn't have gone into the realm of when there are no balls. We are dealing with a live situation. We are not dealing with an abstract. Right. We are dealing with something that is real. The matter is before court. And one of the issues that he have raised was that these people that have been accused never sought board approval. That's what we are dealing with. Indeed. The board was in place. So where he was going had no bearings on what we are discussing. And that is what I want to draw his attention. You see, many a time we find ourselves trying to, as it were, protect our political interests. We have moved beyond that. This is a public interest case. And that until, can you imagine just last year, somewhere October, a woman in Kontompo in Secondary area sold two-week-old child for 300 Ghana cedis.
My goodness.
This was widely reported, that a woman goes to labor and they give birth 2 weeks old, sell for 300 cedis. Then we are talking about people sitting there with a stroke of pen, they take away $2 million if it's anything to go by. And you want me to come and sit here and embellish it? We give them everything. When they are giving positions, we buy their fuel, we buy including beer into their fridges.
We buy beer
for them. Go and see their fridges over the weekend. Then we want you to feel good at our expense. We don't feel good. You feel good for us so that you can think proper for us. Now you won't do any of this. On top of that, you are accused of having taken 2 million. But now you must be chasing people. I'm telling you.
Solomon, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. Elikem, let me come to you on your second bite. I think I'll make it probably the final bite on this one.
I am surprised at even the posturing and the approach being used by Professor Akumfi and his team. Because, for instance, I am fully aware that this matter is in court. But I have also heard from the grapevine their attempt to quench this matter after their alleged ability to have raised $1.5 million, $500,000 short of the amount. But well, if you are unable to meet it and now you would have to be prosecuted, I understand, because then it means that...
Wait, Elikem, I'm trying to follow your...
Yeah, I know you are puzzled. You cannot believe that. I mean...
Wait.
And that is why I'm letting you know that I'm fully aware the matter is in court. But yes. I'm also aware that...
Are you suggesting that via the back door, some attempts have been made for these monies to be put back in their coffers?
I leave it to your interpretation. But this government will not tolerate any such. Any attempt by anybody to want to resolve these matters, pay behind the scenes so that the matter is let go, will not happen under the watch of President Mahama. And therefore, that is why I'm saying that, look, this legal gymnastics is just a process to prolong and delay the process. And they who are in the matter know this for a fact. And so they can go on and go to the Supreme Court, go to ECOWAS Court tomorrow, go to AU Court, go to the wherever. In the end, well, prosecutions will begin, would continue. And so if you who is unable to raise even the funds that you have embezzled, failed and fallen short of the amount, pleading. But you see, the NDC government, I believe, with the vision and mission of President Mahama, is to leave a legacy and to ensure that things done right are done well. And so once there will not be anybody in this regime that will be compromised, I am very convinced that this matter will be followed to its logical conclusion. And those who are culpable will be dealt with. Nobody will be tolerated to pay a dime behind and be let loose.
Elikem, thank you so much for that. Some intel there from Elikem. Now, Dr. Zato, we know that there are going to be some witnesses who will be taking the stand, because at the core of this issue is whether or not there was in fact board approval. We know that there are some 9 board members, and we get the indication that as per what some witnesses are saying, there is some contradiction there. Was there requisite board approval or was there not? Let me expand the tentacles of this discussion. From a policy and governance standpoint, what are the potential risks when large-scale projects like this SkyTrain project proceed without clear approvals, or shall I say transparent processes? Let's widen it and then let's bring it down.
Okay. Once again, thank you very much, and thank you for this discussion. I have taken certain positions when it comes to accountability and when it comes to trying to hold public sector workers or public servants or policymakers accountable. And I want to reiterate that position so that nobody says I'm being hypocritical also when it comes to these issues. One, I have absolutely no problem with investigative agencies or the judicial system or the Attorney General investigating and duly prosecuting public sector officials who they claim have breached the law. I've said that if you raise your hand to swear an oath to take an office, then you should know that one day you may also raise your hand to plead guilty or not guilty. And so that should always be a caution in whatever you do. So any man or woman who serves in the public, because when you're serving in the public, you have a lot of power with you. We're talking about sometimes financial power, policy power, regulatory power, a lot of public power that is in you that you are using to persecute. And you must use that power to pursue or prosecute the public interest, knowing very well that one day you can be called upon to provide answers for what you are doing. So again and again, I have absolutely no problem. When people's fundamental rights are abused, I'll talk about it. When people are treated unfairly, I'll talk about it. But any state agency, any regulator, any prosecutorial office that is doing its normal work of trying to hold public sector, public government officials accountable, I have no problem with that.
Right.
That's number one. I want to put that to. Two, I also want to make a point. Then I come to an issue of accountability, and this is where sometimes the issue looks a little bit dicey.
Okay, and I hope that you'll also answer the question that I've posed today, because I want us to also...
I'll do that, baby. I just want to come from a... Okay. I'll come today about governance of SOEs. I'll do that. Right. See, the other concern we have is that this is the AG office prosecuting people in what I call under a post-regime accountability framework. After that, we can talk about two main types of accountability in the public sector in Ghana: regime accountability and post-regime accountability. I define regime accountability as where the government and your attorney general prosecute your own employees if they go wrong, to a logical conclusion. Then secondly, I define post-regime accountability as a system where if a sitting government is unwilling or unable to prosecute your own people, and then you leave office, that a government coming should do that. So again, we've seen that. That is why, for me, when this new Attorney General came and issued null prosecute or whatever it is, he said, well, I had a problem with that. I believe that when you start a prosecution, only the courts, and the courts alone, not a politician, should decide the fate of the cases. When a politician has that amount of power to decide that I like you, I don't like you, you go in rest, you don't go in rest, to dismiss cases like that, it betrays the public trust in those cases. It makes the public think that people are being prosecuted for political reasons. Because the question I ask is, a lot of money has been invested into these investigations, like happening now. A lot of manpower, a lot of resources. How would you feel if today this Attorney General leaves or this government leaves, and then somebody comes and then dismiss these cases? Whether the people you have is a strong case or not, I believe in that. Let the courts, let the judge, and not a politician decide the fate of cases. So when we do that, when we use that knowledge prosecute to reward our friends, and then we use our prosecutorial authority to seem to be prosecuting our opponents, it's bad. It's not good for our democracy. Let me come to this. See, one of the reasons that is causing this is happening today. There are a lot of CEOs that are appointed, but they don't have board of directors. They don't have boards of directors. A lot of them. The boards are yet to be formed. So even their own appointments are yet to be regularized. But these people have to work, because they cannot just go and sit out and they're not working. So now, by the time the board comes, so we were talking about the board, this is where some of the problem comes. By the time a board comes in, maybe the CEO and the management, they've taken some decisions.
Is that what happened in this instance?
No, I'm not saying what I'm saying. I'm saying that is one of the weaknesses in how our SOEs, our state officers are managed.
Okay.
In almost all cases, the CEOs are appointed, and some of the CEOs are very powerful men and women. Very powerful men and women in the government or in the party. So they go there and it takes them 6 months. Imagine you are a CEO now, you have been in the office for 6 months now. Your board is not in place. You cannot get up every day and go and sit there and just sit there doing nothing. You have to work. And it's so a board comes in and the board says, you've done A, B, C, D, but will not rectify it or will rectify it. Or the board comes in and now you are trying to convince the board that you took those decisions in the public interest. That is sometimes where the tango comes in. Or the board comes in and the board thinks that you are so powerful in the government that they cannot question whatever you do. So they will rubber stamp whatever you've done. And then it is only later that these revelations are made. So we need to go back to understand how we govern these SOEs. Martin, look, the right thing to be done is that you get a board in place and then you appoint a CEO. The CEO goes, or the board then appoints the CEO, which is actually placed. Okay. You go with your CV to the board, or you go and meet the board looks at it, the board then hires you, the board approves your entitlements and everything, they start working. But we rather put the cart before the horse, where we appoint the CEO, and you can see that in almost all these cases, this is sometimes where the problem starts.
That's what I was asking specifically. Is that something that you know is present in this case?
No,
and just for the sake of time today, we've got two hot topics. I just want us to hone in on this. And the reason why I asked that question about potential risks when large-scale infrastructure projects proceed without clear board approvals or transparent processes is that I want the people of Ghana to really get the essence of why it is important that we go by the rules, or that there is strict oversight. $2 million is no small amount of money. Dr. Zato, put that in context. What could 2 million Ghana cedis do for this nation?
It could 2 million Ghana cedis could tar the road from Heng to Jeffrey to Tumu to Chuchulega. It could do the Tumu roads easy.
And you've been on that agriculture agenda.
Yeah. You're a farmer. money. It's obscene money. That money could just do that. In fact, we don't need to wait for the big push. That money could do all that road. And that is, remember, that road could also, that money could do the road from Jeffisi to Golu to Tumu. We are talking about the maize belt in this country. We're talking about the maize food belt. So yes, again, it's a lot of money. It's
a lot of money, Dr.
Even if it was 2 million Ghana cedis, it's a lot of money. So again, that's what I'm saying. You can never see me here saying that trying to defend or justify people using it. But I'm saying that if we want to, we have to go back to look at where sometimes some of these mistakes are made. One of the biggest conduits of corruption in Ghana is procurement, especially single source procurement. It is the biggest, if not one of the biggest. So any government that is serious about procurement, I've always said this, why don't we just say that we are going to ban single source procurement?
In fact, that was a promise of the last government, and we saw the reverse happening.
Exactly. Every government in opposition, every party in opposition will say, when we come, we will reduce it, or we will ban it. They come, they don't ban it. They come and they make it worse. So my point is, why don't we do that now? Why don't we have a reset? Why can't we just say, you can put a minimum, a basic one, say like any contract that is listed about 20,000 must go for public tender, no matter what. And any contract below that, so that you make sure that small contracts are not. Right. Procurement is the single largest source of corruption in this country. And that's why you see, look, almost every corruption case starts with procurement. Now, so if we get the procurement sorted out, 1, 2, then this board CEO relationships.
Fantastic.
It's because, as I said, right now, that is one of the sources where, one of the weaknesses of our SOE sector. Look, whenever Ghana declares for IMF, go for relief, check and see a huge large part of the debt is coming from what? SOE sectors.
Certainly. All right, Dr. Zato, I think your point is well made, and thank you for that perspective as well, talking about how we structure, the board, what comes before what CEO. And interestingly, you've also got the former Chief Executive Officer of GIF, Solomon Asamoah, also.
Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Don't forget to share the video to all platforms. I'll see you in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.